I've had this really pretty billet of white oak, kind of roughly shaped, for a long time. It's got half heartwood, half sapwood, almost equal. There's a little bit of stuff missing in some of it. Like there's a little bit of less heartwood here, and a little bit of a runoff here. Like it's not even exactly, but it's a really pretty piece, and I just really like the look of the bark. So I've kept it like this. But you know what? Let's shape this roughly into a handle. Oh wow, that really took a lot of material out there. That bark was doing a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to the thickness here. Try not to remove any actual lumber here. Now let's take a look. Pretty thin. Not really, actually, but compared to my other stuff, this is pretty thin, which is not a bad thing. Yeah, sorry, that was not focused. Uh-oh, is that cracking? No, those are just furrows. We're okay, we're okay. Let's see, is that crack? That's definitely where I cut. That was a miscut. So let's do a little thinning first. So I got to be really careful not to make this out of line. I have too much wood here, and on the other side I don't have enough wood. So what I'll do is I'll try to even that up. And that means there's going to be a lot of heartwood leaving this handle. Also have a surplus right here. One thing that's nice about carving an axe handle, if you think you took too much material off of the sides of the width part, so this is the width, this is the thickness, and obviously from here to here, that's the length. So if you think you took too much off the sides, that's okay because of how a handle is shaped. It's kind of like an oval. But a lot of people like to keep their handle relatively straight while they're making it to make it easier. So just keep that in mind. Oh yeah, it's already looking pretty straight here. I'd advise you to do that cut like this. Makes it much easier. So when you're working on the bottom of the handle, you can prop it up on a carving table. Like if this is just a firewood round that's raised off the ground with some legs. And then when you're working at the top, lean it against the table like this. So let's see how we're looking. I mean, this is I'm pretty happy with this already. Ooh, there's a little knot right there. Just investigate, or I don't know if it's a knot or maybe it's an inclusion. Yeah. let's show you that. So that's an inclusion. Look at that inclusion right there. That's a bark inclusion, it looks like. That's unfortunate, not a good place, but you see how much width I have? Oh, is that another one? Yeah, it's another bark inclusion. So that'll probably go because of how much thickness and because of how you take kind of like the corners off with how you round a handle. That'll probably not be a problem, but we'll have to see what happens. So here, let's look at this. Let's look at this together. Let me focus on it. I'll show you what sighting down lumber is. It's just like gun sights. So imagine this is your first sight, and then all throughout the handle is another sight, and you match it up. So you go like this, and you angle it, and so you can see right here is higher than right here. Even without it being focused, you could see that, right? You can see it's high right here, low right here. You don't even really need to use the gun sights, but when we're talking about gun sights, you can see that this, so it's a surplus, and then there's less material than you need on the bottom. But because we have all this thickness, we'll be able to get away with that. So, and you also want to make sure you do it on the back side, because usually what will happen, as you can see, there will be material missing a little bit if you didn't do it. If you're not jointing your handle billet and you're doing it like me, you want to check all the sides. This will make it really easy to see how much material is missing from the sides right here. It's pretty good. I mean, I'm not worried at all. Yeah, so you can see more material here than in the middle of the handle. I've noticed the way I do this, it's really slow when it comes to thinning the handle. So this side and this side. So I've tried to get a little quicker. I haven't ruined a handle yet, but you know, it might come. I might ruin a handle by going too far on one side when I try to guess too much how much material I can actually remove. So let's remove a little bit of material here. This is the sapwood. Actually pretty impressed that it feels pretty tough. This is white oak. Let me be smart here. So here's the edge after that. Kind of hard to do this with one hand, but I didn't want to get in the way of the camera. So we drop it down here. Now what are we working with? I don't want to remove much material here. See how the hatchet's biting really easy? I'm going very gently so far since I sharpened or honed it, or polished I guess was a better word. I know this isn't thickness, but this is kind of how I work on handles. I go back and forth at least a little bit. It is not efficient to do it this way. Okay. Oh, I got a lot of wood here. And you see where my head is positioned? I'm sighting down the whole time, basically. Now, it's not always like that, but right now I am. Where I'm right there, and I got one, and when I say sighting down like gun sights, I have one eye closed, just like I'm looking down the barrel of a gun. Ooh, shit. Hopefully we can get this even, because I just saw a big issue. Good, good, good. That material had to go anyway. That was like inner bark area. I mean inner bark material. Oh yeah. One thing you really want to make sure you don't mess up. Always make sure there's less material here and more material here. Now, of course, you want it to be enough so your tongue is filling all the space of your eye, right? But just make sure that it's wider at the bottom of that shoulder and it's tapered as well. That'll just make it easier for you. And same with the front. So you see how there's a little bit extra like here. So what I would do is I would cut that down. But I honestly, I don't like handles where the head is recessed in. So imagine the front of the head is here. I want it to be in line with the front of the handle. So what I would do is I would remove this material to make it more even. This is a hewing hatchet, a Plum Victory. Really nice tool. So that would, if I kept doing that, that would tear out because I'm going up the grain. And the reason why I could do this is because I have a surplus of wood. It's really important that you have extra wood on your handle until you're ready to finish it. Even the tongue, you want there to be extra material until you know everything is aligned with the head, at least in the beginning, or if you're not doing a center line like me. If you're doing things really, if you're a measurement kind of guy, maybe don't worry so much about that, or maybe do, I don't know. But I'm not a measurement kind of guy. I literally have not used any forms of measurement to make this handle. So what I do is I just make sure that I have extra material. This is thicker than it needs to be by a lot. I'll show you what I mean. See how much thicker? See that? There's a big surplus. And you always want to go back and forth. You want to make sure there's no holes like that. So you want it to be matched up from front to back and side to side. And that'll just make your life a lot easier. It's looking pretty good, honestly. It's feeling light as well, which means I've removed a lot of material, which is what I like to feel at. If you have a problem remembering where your landmark is, where you have extra material, or where you don't have enough material and then you have to go to the other side, you can mark it. You could just put a little cut in there like that, or you can hold your thumb there until you get to working. I'm liking this. Oh boy. So what do you guys see that's wrong? I hope you can see the angle I'm seeing. What do you guys see that's wrong with this handle? What doesn't look right? This side actually is a lot more pronounced. It's this belly right here. It's not it is not, it doesn't transition well. So what we'll do is we'll have it on this angle, so I'm looking straight at what I'm trying to change. And so I can see what's happening while I'm doing it. So I can blend this together a little bit. Look at that, a lot better. Just 10 seconds of cutting, of carving, and it's looking a lot better. Now I see this. This is goofy looking. So what I'd do is I would probably take a little of this off. Cut in a little bit more on the bottom of it. And now look. Now I do see a problem here. This, let's call it a swoop, which I don't know what to call this. Let's call this swoop. They're not really matched up very well. Yeah, that's actually not that bad. But basically you want it to be so there's a slight angle, so the back of your palm rests easily on this area. Depends on if you're righty or lefty, but same thing basically. Alright, so what do we got to do here? Oh yeah, that does not look right. So now I see this part has a surplus. But I have to be really careful because now I'm getting to the point where there's not a lot of material left if I screw up. So I could just tell that this is not quite right, and this is how I go about carving this part. The hook, let's call it the hook. This, where my thumb is, the hook. So I go about it. Now, I'll show you the tool I like to use for curves. I call this a fine carver. I already honed this pretty recently. I didn't do much carving with it and I honed it. So it's got a nice polish to it. It's a little stiletto, 1 pounder, and you'll be surprised this thing really punches above its weight, especially when it comes to curves. So when it comes to curves, you're kind of just trying to eat in to the same place. And it just naturally moves downwards as you do that. Oh wow, I could almost do this, but I don't want to do that. Yeah, so I'm still seeing, I want more curve to it. My hair is in the way. All right, there we go. I'm not going all the way down with this. This is a fine cut. I'm trying to be really careful. Now it's a little better. And now I could use this for this part. You should feel a little pressure I just used right there. So once again, I don't like this blend. We're going to go in and thin this dimension and blend it in. Instead of going like this and looking, I'm right there. As you can see, I'm leaning right over it. That was a miss. Nice. We're looking better. And now what I want to do is make this look a little better. Now I'm just guessing right here. This is dangerous. I don't know if I actually need to remove this material, but we'll see. So now my problem area is here. I don't know if I should remove materials from the back or the front or both. Let's see. What would look right? I think I have to go a little bit in the front. I'm going to try to not go too far into the wood here. That's a little better, but I think what we'll do is we'll leave it there for now, and we'll end the video. It's just a little of how I do things. I'm not saying you have to do things like that. Probably would be harder for you to do things like that, honestly. But this is what comes of a person that started carving utensils. I'll show you. So here's a really beautiful spalted piece of wood that I was making into a rice, kind of like a rice spatula. Goofy. Now the reason why I mentioned this stuff, carving utensils, is because this is where I got my transferable skills. This is where I was able to do things by eye. So when you carve, you eye it up in each dimension, and you see where you need to remove material. And scaling it up to a longer handle was kind of difficult. I would carve hatchet handles at first, and then I moved up to bigger stuff. Although I will say the smallest spoons are really hard to carve. They get really hard when they're fine. This is not complete, and that hump is kind of goofy looking. But this is really a little fine little piece. But this is where I got my transferable skills from. And yeah, once I scaled it up to larger handles, there was a big learning curve. It was not easy to carve handles like the way I do. But now I'm used to it, and I think it's paid off because I'm not a measurement guy. I'm not a guy that measures stuff. That's just not my style. I love the fact that I can make handles without taking out a tape measure at all. All you got to do is copy an existing handle. Most people will have templates of an existing handle or something they design themselves, but I'll just use something like this. A nice vintage handle. And I actually didn't with this one, at least after it was roughed out. I just did that all by eye, whatever looks right to me. And I'm still seeing a little bit of problems, but I like what we're working with. It's a little thick here. It's a little thick here. There could use some work. So that's kind of how I do things. I look at it and I say that area needs an improvement, or that. That's how it is.